Hello and welcome back to my Blind 75 Python solution series. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at LeetCode question 238, also known as product of array except self. And this is going to be a medium level question, and we are looking for a solution that has O of n time and O of one space. So let's take a look at the problem. The problem goes, given an integer array nums, return an array answer such that answer I is equal to the product of all elements of nums except nums I. The product of any prefix or suffix of nums is guaranteed to fit in a 32-bit integer. You must write an algorithm that runs in O of n time without using the division operation. And so right here, if we take a look at example number 1, we have an input of nums array with the values of 1, 2, 3, 4, and out we're going to pop out our products, which is just a multiplication of this array right here, and we are going to be solving for that today. And so in order to solve this problem, I'm going to be using something called the two-pointer technique, which is useful in solving array type problems such as this one. And the reason that we're going to think to use this type of solution is because we need to keep A, track of what we've already searched through, and B, have the ability to move around the array without sacrificing time. I'm going to use a solution that is known as a two-pass solution, which is where we're going to go through our array 2 times. But there's also one-pass options that you can find on LeetCode. I'm just not going to use those ones because I think those are a little bit more complicated, and I want to try to keep the solution pretty simple and easy to understand so that you can implement it in your next interview. So before we take a look at how we're going to code this, let's take a closer look of how we're going to solve this problem. So what we're going to want to do first is we're going to want to create our variables. And we have a couple variables that we're going to use. Our first variable is going to be our start variable, which is going to begin at index 1, because in the original problem, we are told to skip index 0, and that is where our first pointer is going to be. So we're going to start right here and write start. And then our second pointer is going to be at the end, and that's going to just be called end. And this is just at the end of the array. We will also have an array called result, which is what will be returned as our answer at the end of the problem. So the steps for our first pass that we're going to do on each loop is we're going to append our start value to our result array. And then our second step is going to be that we want to have our start now equal to the product of start times current value. So for our loop, we're also going to start with an I value, which is going to be our current value that we're at in our loop, and that's just going to start at 0. So for step 1, we're going to want to append start to result. So right now our start is at index of 1, so this is going to be 1. Then we're going to put this up here. And then start now equals the product of start times current value. Our current value is going to be 1. So we're going to just do 1 times 1 equals 1. So now we're going to have our second loop through. So our I value is now over here at the 2. So once again, we're going to append start to result. So this is still going to be 1 because our start value right here was 1. So it's going to be 1. And then we're going to do this 1, which was start, times our current value, which is equal to 2. So our start is now equal to 2. So once again, we're going to loop again. Our start is now equal to 2. So 2 is going to be in our results array. And then we're going to do 2 times our current value, which is 3, equal to 6. And so now we're going to move our I over one more time to 4. And we're going to do one more append, which is going to be 6. Because 6 was our last start, and then we don't do this after that. We filled our array, and then we're done with our first pass. So now we're going to take a look at the second pass, and the steps in our second pass are going to be step 1, our current value in the results array is going to be equal to start times the current value in the results array. The second step is going to be our start value is going to equal start times the current value in our nums array. And so how we're going to do this is we're going to go reverse direction of both of these. And the reason being is that our answer is going to show up in reverse as well. So our I value is going to start as we go through the problem. Our first loop, what we're going to do is we're going to take that start value, which right now, because we're going to change our start back to equal 1, so it's just going to be 1 times our current value in our results array, which is going to be times 6 equals 6. So this value here is going to stay 6. And then our start is going to equal our start right now, which is still 1, times our current value, which is 4 in our nums array, times 4 equals 4. So our start value now equals 4. So we're going to do the same thing again in our second loop. We're going to move this I value over in both of them. So this is I and this is I now because we're on our second loop through. And we're going to do our start once again, 4. Our start once again, which is going to be 4 times our current value, which is currently 2, equal to 8. And so this value right here is going to change and is now equal to 8. And so as I said before, our start value is 4 because it was 4 up here. And we're going to multiply that by the current value here, which is equal to 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So once again, we're just going to move these values over, I and I. And we're going to do the same thing once again, which is just going to be taking our start value, which is going to be 12, times our current value, which is going to be 1, equal to 12. And so this value right here is going to change to 12. We'll move this a little over right here. And then our start is going to be 12 times our current value in our nums array, which is 2, equal to 24. So start right now is going to equal 24. So we're going to do one last loop, and then we're at the end. So this is our end right here once again. So we're going to do I is going to move again, and I is going to move again here. This I is going to stay here because this is our first pointer, and so it's between end and start, which is 1, and this value right now is 2. So then we're going to move that I over one more time right here, and then I is going to be right here. And then this is our last bit, and we're not going to figure out start again. So we're done with start. So this is going to be done. But we're going to take that start value, which was 24 right here, and then multiply it by this value right here. So times 1 equals 24. So this last value is going to become 24. And then this is what we are going to return. And we're done.
Okay, so let's code this. So first things first, we're going to want to create our function, which is just going to be def of product except self. And inside of it, we're going to put our nums array. And then we're going to create our variables. So we're going to do our start variable, our end variable, and then our result array, which is what we're going to return at the end. And start is going to be equal to 1. End is going to equal the length of nums. And then our result is just going to be an array. And these right here, these variables, are going to be our 2 pointers as well. So where we're going to start and where we're going to end our loops. So next, we're going to create our first pass, which is going to be for I in range 0 to end. And we're going to be stopping at index 1. And we're going to go through the entire array, but we're going to be stopping after that first pointer at start. So after we get there, we're not any longer creating a new start value.
So first, we're going to append starting values to results array. So we can write that like this. Result dot append start. So our start value is what we're going to be appending. And this is going to be the start of the product, of creating the product, which is just multiplication.
And then next, we're going to find our new start value, and that's going to be equal to the product of
the old start times the current value in the nums array. So start times equal nums I. And then after we do this,
This is the first pass, and we're gonna now wanna change our start value back to equal 1, so that we can start over for our second pass. And then we're gonna create the next for loop, which is gonna be for I in range end -1, -1, -1. And this right here is considered reverse orientation. So when you see this, that means that we're going in reverse. So just remember that. You need to write that down because it's super useful in knowing if you want to go reverse of an array. And the reason that we're doing that is we want to stay consistent with our current starting values, which is in the result array that we already saved. So all we're going to be doing is looping through that results and nums array in reverse, and we want to stay consistent with those starting values, which is why we're reversing, and we'll once again end at our start pointer. So next, our result array value. So the steps inside the second pass is going to be our result array value changes to the result value times. So our result value, which is also going in reverse, is going to change, and it's going to now equal our current result value times our current starting value. So it's going to be times equal start. And then our second step, as we said before, is going to be our start value is now going to change and equal our current start value times the current value in our nums array. So times equal nums I. And then all we're going to do last is return result. And save that, and then we're just going to take our print statement, which I wrote over here, run it, and as you can see here, we get our result. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please take the time now to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making the rest of the Blind 75 series in the next coming weeks, so please subscribe to see more of those. I'm going to be making some other videos as well. Please also make sure you like this video. It really helps out my channel, and I really appreciate it. But until next time, keep on coding. I believe in you. Take care.